Are you over 60 and starting your day with what you think is a healthy breakfast? Fruit, juice, maybe a quick bowl of oats. You might be shocked to learn that some of those morning habits could be quietly destroying your testosterone, your blood flow, and your ability to perform. I'm Dr. Justin Keller. I've spent over a decade helping men protect their energy, hormones, and health as they age. And today, I want to show you 6 common fruits that many older adults eat for breakfast, fruits that might be slowly killing your erections and robbing you of your vitality. In this video, we're going to talk about which popular fruits spike your blood sugar and crush your testosterone, how even natural options like juice and dried fruit can mess with your hormones, what you should be eating instead if you want to stay strong, sharp, and intimate. I'll share real patient stories, lab results, and simple changes that make a big difference. No drugs, no gimmicks, just real results. And trust me, the first fruit on the list is the one almost everyone eats without thinking. You do not want to miss it. So watch all the way to the end. You'll walk away knowing exactly what to avoid and what to do instead. Before we dive in, let me know where you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments below. It's always great to see where this message is reaching. And if you value honest, practical advice for living better after 60, hit the like button and subscribe to Glowing Age. That helps me keep creating videos that support your health, your confidence, and your future. Fruit number 1, bananas. Did you know that the banana you eat every morning might be sabotaging your blood flow before your day even starts? Let's break it down. Bananas are often praised for their potassium. And yes, potassium is essential for heart health and blood pressure. But what many don't realize is that bananas, especially when overripe, are loaded with fast-acting sugars and starches. One medium banana has about 14 grams of sugar and over 25 grams of carbohydrates. That's nearly the same sugar load as a small candy bar. And when you eat that first thing in the morning, on an empty stomach, it causes your insulin to spike. Why does that matter for erectile health? Because erections are all about blood flow. And when your insulin surges repeatedly over time, your body becomes less responsive to it. That's insulin resistance. And insulin resistance leads to inflammation, weight gain, and a drop in testosterone, all of which are directly tied to reduced erectile function. Now let's add another layer. As we age, our endothelial function, the health of the inner lining of our blood vessels, naturally declines. Think of your arteries like flexible garden hoses. At 30, they expand easily, allowing blood to flow. But at 60 or 70, they're more like stiff tubing. Sugar makes that worse. A high-sugar breakfast constricts those vessels even further, making it harder for blood to reach where it needs to go, especially down there. Still not convinced? Let me tell you about one of my patients. We'll call him Mark. He's 68, active, not overweight. But he came to me frustrated. He'd lost morning erections and was starting to feel like less of a man, as he put it. He wasn't eating junk food, wasn't drinking, didn't smoke. But his breakfast, 2 bananas and a slice of toast every single morning for years. We ran his labs. His fasting insulin was elevated. His testosterone was on the low end of normal. And his HbA1c, a long-term marker of blood sugar control, was creeping up. We swapped the bananas for a protein-rich breakfast, eggs, leafy greens, and a handful of berries. Within weeks, his energy improved. 2 months later, morning erections returned. No medications, no gimmicks, just better choices. I'm not saying bananas are poison. I'm saying timing, quantity, and what you pair them with matters, especially after 60. If you love bananas, have half of one with some protein and fat to slow the sugar absorption. Never eat one solo on an empty stomach. Remember, your breakfast sets the tone for your hormones, your energy, and yes, your intimacy for the rest of the day. Don't let a sugary fruit marketed as healthy quietly rob you of vitality. Every bite either supports your blood flow or constricts it. You get to choose. Fruit number 2, grapes, especially red and green table grapes. You've probably heard that grapes are good for the heart. But if you're over 60 and concerned about blood flow, energy, or bedroom performance, eating a bunch of grapes in the morning could be doing more harm than good. Let me explain. Grapes are naturally high in fructose, a form of sugar that in excess has been linked to increased insulin resistance, lower testosterone, and even fatty liver. Just 1 cup of grapes contains nearly 23 grams of sugar. That's more than 5 teaspoons. And unlike fruits like berries, grapes have almost no fiber to slow that sugar down. So when you eat them on an empty stomach, say first thing in the morning, your blood sugar spikes fast, then it crashes. And that roller coaster isn't just exhausting. It's also a direct threat to healthy blood circulation and hormone balance. This becomes especially important as men age. After 60, your vascular system, your arteries, veins, capillaries, doesn't respond the same way it did at 30. The blood vessels become less elastic, and your ability to produce nitric oxide, the molecule that relaxes those vessels, declines. Nitric oxide is critical for achieving and maintaining an erection. It's your body's natural way of opening the blood gates. And sugar, especially from high-fructose fruits like grapes, blunts nitric oxide production. Let's talk about a case I saw not long ago. A 72-year-old man, very health-conscious, no medications, walks daily, eats organic. But he told me he'd been waking up groggy and had no libido. He was eating clean, or so he thought, his breakfast, a tall glass of fresh-pressed grape juice and a bowl of green grapes. He figured it was heart-healthy. When I looked at his labs, his fasting glucose was borderline high, his triglycerides were elevated, and his free testosterone had dropped. We eliminated the morning grape overload and introduced a more balanced breakfast, eggs, some avocado, and a small serving of blackberries instead. Within a few weeks, he felt more alert. 2 months later, he reported noticeable improvement in sexual function, without a single prescription. Now here's something else people don't talk about. Grapes contain compounds that may actually increase aromatase activity. Aromatase is the enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. That's the opposite of what we want after 60. When estrogen creeps up and testosterone drops, not only does erectile function decline, so does motivation, stamina, and muscle strength. This doesn't mean you need to avoid grapes forever, but how you eat them matters. If you're going to enjoy grapes, pair them with nuts or a protein source later in the day, not first thing in the morning when your body is most sensitive to sugar. It's about stacking the odds in your favor. One small change, skipping that sugar spike fruit in the morning, can lead to big improvements in energy, hormone balance, and blood flow. You've worked hard to get to this stage of life. Don't let something as small as a bowl of grapes quietly chip away at your vitality. Choose foods that support your strength, your clarity, and yes, your intimacy. Fruit number 3, watermelon. Watermelon might be the most deceptive fruit on this list. You've probably heard that it's great for blood flow, thanks to a compound called citrulline, which the body converts into nitric oxide, a key player in erectile health. And that's true in theory. But in practice, especially if you're over 60 and eating it first thing in the morning, it could be doing more harm than good. Here SY. Watermelon is made up of about 92% water. That sounds refreshing, but it also means it's extremely low in fiber, fat, or protein, anything that would normally slow down sugar absorption. When you eat a large slice of watermelon, particularly on an empty stomach, your blood sugar can spike dramatically. One wedge has over 17 grams of sugar. Combine that with the fact that there's no fiber or protein to buffer it, and your insulin levels jump. Why does that matter to your performance? When insulin rises rapidly, your body's natural testosterone production can dip. And remember, testosterone isn't just a hormone. It's the engine behind libido, stamina, and the strength of your erections. A high sugar start to the day, like watermelon at breakfast, leads to a cascade of hormone disruption. Over time, this wears down not only your sexual health, but also your overall energy, focus, and mood. Let me share a story. A gentleman I treated, 66 years old, retired firefighter, strong, active, still hitting the gym. But he told me he felt off, physically and sexually. His wife noticed it too. He wasn't waking up aroused anymore, and he felt drained before noon. When we went over his meals, he told me he ate a huge bowl of watermelon every morning. He'd heard it was good for circulation and wanted to stay sharp. We ran his labs. His testosterone was borderline low. His morning cortisol, the hormone that helps regulate energy, was flatlined. He was also slightly dehydrated. And here's the catch. Watermelon is a natural diuretic. It makes you urinate more. So not only was he getting a sugar spike, he was also flushing out important minerals like zinc and magnesium, both critical for hormone health. We shifted his routine. He still enjoys watermelon, but now he has it after lunch, never on an empty stomach. We replaced his breakfast with a balanced meal: eggs, spinach, a few walnuts, and some blueberries. After 6 weeks, his labs improved. But more importantly, he said, "Doc, I feel like myself again." That's the difference. See, food isn't just about calories or nutrients. It's information. Every bite sends a message to your body: build strength or break it down, improve circulation or slow it, support hormones or suppress them. Watermelon isn't the enemy, but when and how you eat it matters, especially after 60. If you want to enjoy it, keep portions small and pair it with a fat or protein source. Or save it for later in the day when your body can handle sugar more efficiently. Your mornings are the most hormonally sensitive part of the day. Don't let a seemingly innocent fruit like watermelon sabotage your foundation. Protect your energy, guard your blood flow, and keep your hormones working with you, not against you. Fruit number 4, dried fruits, raisins, dates, figs. They're small, they're sweet, and they're often labeled as natural or heart-healthy. But if you're over 60 and still starting your day with dried fruits like raisins, dates, or figs, especially in cereals or breakfast bowls, you could be setting yourself up for fatigue, hormone imbalance, and worsening erectile function without even realizing it. Here's what I see all the time. A patient walks in and says, "Doc, I eat clean. No donuts, no processed sugar, just oats with raisins and a few dates for sweetness." Sounds reasonable, right? But I always ask, how do you feel an hour or two later? The answer is almost always the same: sluggish, foggy, sometimes irritable. And here's why. Dried fruits are concentrated sugar. A single tablespoon of raisins has as much sugar as a small candy bar. Just 4 medjool dates? That's around 60 grams of sugar, all without any fat, fiber, or protein to slow it down. When that hits your system first thing in the morning, it floods your bloodstream with glucose. That sends your insulin levels soaring. And as I've said before, when insulin surges, testosterone drops. That's not opinion, that's endocrinology. But it doesn't stop there. High sugar intake, especially from natural sources like dried fruit, leads to increased belly fat and elevated cortisol. Both of these are enemies of sexual health. Belly fat isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's hormonally active tissue. It produces aromatase, an enzyme that converts testosterone into estrogen. The more belly fat you have, the more estrogen your body creates. And the result? Reduced libido, weaker erections, less morning arousal, and a general lack of drive. I had a patient, we'll call him Henry, who was 70, relatively fit but struggling with low energy and intimacy. He thought he was doing everything right. His morning routine included a healthy granola with figs and a splash of almond milk. He wasn't eating junk food. He wasn't sedentary, but his testosterone was low and he was frustrated. We changed one thing. We eliminated dried fruit from his mornings and added eggs, sautéed greens, and some unsweetened Greek yogurt with a sprinkle of cinnamon. He didn't believe it would help, but within 4 weeks his mood improved. His morning drive returned. He told me, "I don't know what you did, Doc, but I feel sharper, more like myself." It wasn't magic. It was blood sugar control. Now let me be clear, dried fruits aren't inherently toxic, but they're not breakfast food for men over 60. Their sugar density is just too high, and because they're small and chewy, it's easy to eat too much. Your body doesn't get the satiety cues it would from whole fruits, and by the time you realize it, your blood sugar is already crashing and your hormones are out of sync. So what can you do? If you enjoy dried fruit, use it like a seasoning, not a staple. A few raisins sprinkled on top of a protein-rich meal? Fine. But a bowl of oatmeal loaded with dried figs and honey, that's a blood sugar bomb waiting to happen. You've worked too hard to keep your health intact to let a handful of dried fruit undo it. Start your day in a way that supports your strength, your stamina, and your sense of self. Because erectile health isn't just about what happens in the bedroom, it's a reflection of your overall vascular and hormonal health. And you deserve better than a sugar spike disguised as breakfast. Fruit number 5, pineapple. It smells amazing. It tastes even better. And if you've been told pineapple is a healthy way to start your day, especially with breakfast, it's time we take a closer look. Pineapple is one of the most sugar-dense tropical fruits out there. Just 1 cup of chopped pineapple contains around 16 grams of sugar, most of it in the form of simple glucose and fructose. That means eating pineapple first thing in the morning, especially without protein or fat, can cause a rapid blood sugar spike, followed by the familiar crash that leaves you drained, unfocused, and hormonally flat for the rest of the day. For men over 60, this isn't just about energy dips. It's about what that spike and crash are doing to your testosterone levels, nitric oxide production, and overall erectile function. Here's how it works. When your blood sugar spikes quickly, your body responds by producing insulin. That insulin surge doesn't just move sugar into your cells. It also suppresses luteinizing hormone, which plays a key role in triggering testosterone production. So over time, starting your mornings with high-sugar fruits like pineapple can lead to a slow, steady decline in testosterone levels. And it's not just testosterone at stake. Repeated morning sugar spikes create low-grade inflammation and damage to the endothelial lining of your blood vessels. That's the thin, delicate lining responsible for regulating blood flow, including the kind of blood flow you need for a firm, sustained erection. Once the endothelium is inflamed or damaged, nitric oxide, the molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax, becomes less effective. And when blood can't flow, performance suffers. Now, pineapple does contain bromelain, an enzyme with anti-inflammatory properties. That's where a lot of the health halo around pineapple comes from. But here's the truth. To get enough bromelain to make a difference, you'd need to eat it in highly concentrated form, not in a few chunks with your toast. The reality is, the sugar load far outweighs the enzyme benefit, especially when you're over 60 and dealing with naturally declining hormone levels and vascular function. Let me tell you about a patient, Richard, 64, retired school principal. He came to me not with a major complaint, but with a nagging sense that something was off. His energy was lower, he'd started skipping intimacy with his wife, and he just didn't feel as mentally sharp. He was eating what he thought was a clean, tropical breakfast every morning, pineapple, melon, and low-fat yogurt. But his blood work told a different story. Borderline insulin resistance, lower than expected testosterone, and signs of chronic inflammation. We took a simple step, removed the pineapple from breakfast, replaced it with a lower sugar fruit like raspberries, added 2 boiled eggs and a handful of walnuts. 8 weeks later, his energy returned. He looked leaner, was more alert, and told me his intimacy had improved dramatically without medications, supplements, or radical diets. Just better food timing. This is what most people miss. It's not just what you eat, it's when and with what. Pineapple can absolutely be part of a healthy diet, but not first thing in the morning, not by itself, and certainly not if you're noticing signs of hormonal or vascular decline. Your morning meal is a hormonal signal. It either sets you up for stable energy and healthy blood flow, or it throws your system into chaos. If you love pineapple, enjoy it after lunch or dinner when your body can process sugars more efficiently. Pair it with some healthy fat or protein to slow the absorption. But don't let it kick off your day with a metabolic hit that quietly chips away at your testosterone and your performance. The goal isn't to fear food, it's to eat with purpose, especially now. Fruit number 6, fruit juices, yes, even 100% natural ones. You might think you're doing your body a favor by starting the day with a glass of fresh orange juice or apple juice. After all, it's just fruit, right? No added sugar, all natural, packed with vitamin C, but here's the hard truth. If you're over 60 and drinking fruit juice in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, you're spiking your blood sugar, damaging your vascular health, and quietly draining your testosterone. Let's start with what juice actually is. Fruit juice is fruit stripped of all its fiber, and fiber is what slows down sugar absorption. Without it, juice becomes a direct shot of glucose and fructose into your bloodstream. 1 glass of orange juice, just 8 ounces, contains about 21 grams of sugar, more than what you'd find in a can of soda. Apple juice? Even worse. And the body reacts the same way it would if you'd eaten a handful of candy. Now, for a young, active person with high insulin sensitivity, that sugar spike might be manageable. But if you're in your 60s or beyond, and especially if you're already noticing symptoms like fatigue, weight gain around the belly, low libido, or trouble maintaining erections, then juice is only making things worse. Let me explain why. Insulin resistance becomes more common with age, even in lean individuals, and repeated exposure to high-sugar foods, like fruit juice, accelerates that process. Over time, this leads to chronic low testosterone, impaired blood vessel function, and systemic inflammation. These are the exact conditions that impair erectile performance. What many men don't realize is that erectile health is one of the earliest indicators of vascular decline. If blood flow is compromised down there, you can bet it's compromised elsewhere: heart, brain, kidneys. Juice might seem harmless, but when it comes to morning habits, it's one of the most damaging things you can consume if your goal is to maintain strong, healthy circulation. Let me tell you about one of my longtime patients, Greg, 69, former Navy, strong-willed, sharp. He came in frustrated. "Doc," he said, "everything works fine except when it doesn't, and it's starting to not." He wasn't overweight, he wasn't sedentary, he wasn't even eating much processed food. But every morning he drank a glass of natural apple juice with his cereal. We ran some blood work. His triglycerides were high. His fasting insulin was elevated, free testosterone dropping. We pulled the juice completely, added black coffee or water instead, replaced his cereal with eggs and greens. 2 months later, he walked in smiling. "I feel like someone turned the lights back on," he told me. Now, let's be clear, this isn't about demonizing fruit. Whole fruits have fiber, enzymes, and nutrients that work in balance. Juice, on the other hand, is fruit's sugar without the structure. And at this stage of life, structure is what your body needs: slow energy, balanced hormones, and stable blood flow. So here's what I tell every man over 60. If you're serious about protecting your strength, your intimacy, your clarity, ditch the juice. Choose whole fruits instead in moderation, and always pair them with fat or protein. You don't need more sugar, you need more stability. Your body isn't trying to slow down, it's asking you to fuel it wisely. And what you drink first thing in the morning might be the most important decision you make all day. If you've made it this far, you now know the truth about fruit and how it affects your energy, your hormones, and your ability to feel like yourself again. It's not about fear, it's about being informed. And now you've got the tools to make better choices, starting with your very next breakfast. Skip the sugar bombs, choose balance, and don't fall for labels that say natural but deliver nothing but a crash. Your health still matters, your energy still matters, and trust me, your story is far from over. If this helped you, give the video a like. Subscribe to Glowing Age so I can keep sharing real solutions that actually work. And if you're already part of the community, thank you. This is what it's all about. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.